On today's episode, we dive into the origins of Radiance University, educational paradigms, online learning, and so much more. I'm Connor Griffith, and welcome to our Chit-Chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Radiance Chit-Chats. I'm your host, Connor Griffith. On today's episode, we're going to answer some of the most asked questions about Radiance University and what Radiance is doing to continually raise that bar. Joining me today is not only the founder, but the chancellor of Radiance University, Miss Lane Fabby. Lane, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. It's kind of hard to see you from 6 feet away, but I'm glad you took the time to come out. And since, Lane, this is your first time joining me on the podcast, I'm going to have to ask you a few introductory questions and help our audience get familiar with who you are.
Sure.
So let's start with the basics. How long have you been with the company?
So I joined the company in September of 18. I actually accepted the position in June of that year, but waited a few months to kind of get my thoughts together and get a vision together on what Radiance U could be.
Of course. Now, what exactly was it about Radiance that actually brought you to us in the first place?
So I got to know Radiance because I used to conduct leadership development training for Radiance for various levels of leaders. So emerging leaders, transitioning leaders, senior leaders, and executives. So doing executive coaching with them, doing organizational assessments. And so I just felt like I knew the culture very well before I was asked to start and establish Radiance U.
Well, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your background too. What kind of work and educational experience did you have that you brought to the table before you got to Radiance?
Well, I'm going to back up even farther than that. So I grew up in a very small East Texas town. We still do not have a Dairy Queen, if that tells you anything. But education, honestly, growing up wasn't a huge priority for me. Sports was. So I ended up attending college on a basketball scholarship, hurting my knee. I've had five actually knee surgeries to be exact, and realized that education better become important in my life. So that's when I sort of switched my focus and started learning. Then I went to the Naval Postgraduate School. I started working at the Center for Executive Education, where we trained admirals, generals, and senior executive service members on leadership skills and how to be innovative, especially in the digital age. This was early 2000s. This is when, searching a word in Google was the idea of an information technology course.
Right.
So after that, I started another company with my former boss, and we basically did the same thing, just training top military leaders over about a 15-year period until I started my own company, Fabby Leadership Solutions, as well as started working at UAH as the Director of Professional Development. So kind of combining facilitation and training skills with the educational, professional development, business processes kind of married up to create Radiance University.
Absolutely. That's really great to hear as you have all that experience. So, honestly, we'll just jump right into our main topic. Today, it's about Radiance University. So we'll ask the main question we get from everyone is, what is Radiance University?
Right. So people automatically assume we're an accredited university, which we are not. So want to go ahead and address that. We are a continuing education provider. We do offer certificates and certifications, but we are not accredited. However, it's okay. We don't have to be accredited to provide training to government agencies, to industry partners, and of course to our own employees. And they do earn certificates of completion.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about the audience too. Is Radiance U's main audience just its employees, or can it reach outward as well?
No, it is. It's employees made up of mainly engineers, scientists, technologists, and logisticians, but it's also for external customers as well. So both on the government side as well as industry partners.
So keeping that in mind, what are some of the main subject areas that this target audience can use to not only learn but develop new skills?
Sure. So we offer courses in cyber, engineering, advanced technologies, business management, and leadership development at all levels of leaders. So we want to make sure that at least for us, some of our core courses, for example, we get from reading about the National Defense Strategy and what the government's needs are. So directed energy would be one, hypersonics would be one, systems exploitation, under cyber is another one. And of course, lots of leadership skills like critical thinking skills, emotional intelligence, etc. All of those, as well as business courses like PMP, project management professional is another very important important one. All of these skills are needed to make sure that our people are able to support the government and serve the warfighter, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
I completely agree. So if someone were to ask, especially from outside, when we want to envelop Radiance University into kind of one big bucket, what would you say are some of the main benefits offered from Radiance University?
Yeah, so there's lots of benefits really, because when you look internally, we have free educational resources that we identify. We partner with different academic institutions, so such as DAU, Syracuse. We identify on-site libraries for our on-site customers. So that's just one benefit. We already have about 40 plus courses out in our learning management system right now that our own employees can take from anytime at anywhere just on their mobile device. And so it's very convenient and flexible for them. In addition to selling courses to the government and industry. So providing external training, showcasing our SMEs, and allowing our employees to take training for free when, someone else buys training from us. And I would say lastly, highlighting Radiance University in proposals to win big work has been a huge benefit as well.
Absolutely. And so it's very clear that we have a lot of information to share via Radiance University. So I assume that we have a plethora of tools that not only internal but external people can use to get this information.
Well, yes. So we do have our LMS, which falls under our Office 365 ecosystem. So we use the learning management system for all of our courses, quizzes, grading, anything like that we do. We also conduct tech talks. So we live stream events to all of our 13 locations in 9 states. We record lunch and learns. We also offer a leadership series that we open up to the community. So it's not just for internal employees, but also external guests. And of course, now we have a podcast series. And this is really to engage our young professionals and our on-site employees who support government sites.
Absolutely. So we'll dig into each of those a little bit to give everybody some more background. We'll start with that learning management system you talked about. Is it mostly online, or can folks take physical courses as well?
No, folks can take physical courses as well. We just use it more as a resource place where we can put all of our course materials and things in one spot, and we can track learning through the LMS. But yes, we do offer in-person classroom courses as well. So things like proposal writing and leadership classes. We offer an integrated air defense system course. I could go on, but really almost any course that we offer online, we can also offer in the classroom as well.
And so I want to briefly touch on this tech talk and the lunch and learn. They both seem to have a similar layout. And so if you don't mind, just kind of explain a little bit the technical differences between what they are and what they're meant to do.
Sure. So tech talks really focus on very highly technical topics such as brain-computer interface or machine learning or things like that. But the difference is that we live stream them to all of our 13 locations in 9 states. So anybody that is an employee can watch a tech talk just from their own desk, whereas a lunch and learn is a recorded kind of event. So we provide that or conduct that in person, but then we record it and then we put it out in the learning management system as a course that anyone can go and view at their own time.
And what about the new leadership series? I know that one is a newer one for Radiance University. What's the goal of that one?
So that one is really to bring in external speakers, a lot of time that are higher level kind of folks. So for example, our first speaker was Lieutenant General Joe Casamano. He is a former 3-star general and gave a great talk, on generational differences and leading in a complex world. And our next one actually is an internal speaker, which is our very own CEO, Bill Bailey. And that one will happen next month. And because of this coronavirus stuff, we're still having it. We have not canceled or rescheduled, but we are going to live stream that event as well. And then we've got some other speakers in the lineup, over the next quarters as well.
And how are the speakers for the leadership series chosen?
So really, our CEO and I kind of sit down and we have put together a list of ideal folks that we would like to hear from and like for our community to hear from. So for example, our very first speaker was a former 3-star general named Lieutenant General Joe Casamano, and he spoke on leading in a complex world and talked about generational differences and getting back to the basics of leadership. So that's just as an example. And we have a whole long list of other ideal type speakers coming up as well.
Awesome. So that actually brings us to where we are now. We're actually in the middle of recording our second podcast. It's been a lot of fun. You mentioned the outreach. Of course, we want to be able to get to those on-site employees that we have on bases, and we also want to reach back out to our young professionals and get everyone more involved. But what kind of workforce data are we using to actually base this podcast off of?
So yeah, we did a workforce analysis not that long ago and figured out that almost 60% of our workforce are made up of young professionals under the age of 40. Well, we're learning learning that young professionals learn differently, and they want to make sure that they're being educated in different formats. So for example, micro-learning videos is important to them. Being able to have these podcasts that are kind of short, 20-minute type snippets is important to them. So I think that things like this, us staying innovative and trying to cater to our young professionals and our on-site employees will help with our retention as well.
I couldn't agree more. As a young professional, I do like this medium a lot myself. I listen to several podcasts. I know there's several folks out there that do the same thing. But let's talk about the broad spectrum of Radiance University. You've got educational programs. You've got an online resource for people to use. We've got a way for external people to come in and receive this information. What does the future look like? If Radiance University is going to look different in 5 years, how do you imagine that being?
Wow, it's so big. Like, I have big dreams. So there's no telling what's going to happen. I mean, we kind of got this far in a pretty short amount of time since it's only been a year and a half. But I will say that, we're already starting out. For example, we just developed a mentoring program for all of our employees. We're in the pilot stage of that. That's going to be big. I think a game changer going forward for our culture. In addition, we have our talent progression program that we're in the process of developing. So that way each group and each employee can pick a management or a technical track that's tailored to their needs. That's going to be huge, I think, going forward, also for retention too, especially for younger professionals. They want to come in and know where they see themselves at Radiance 10 years from now. With this program, that's going to allow them to do that. We're also developing a certified employee owner program because since we're 100% employee owned, we need to act like owners, feel like owners. All of us should take on the business development role to help us grow and keep this company sustainable. And then lastly, I've got to talk about our new partnership that we have with Auburn University that we're also looking to expand as well. Right now, we have a master in engineering management where Radiance pays 100% of tuition and related fees for our employees to go and get a master's program. And you don't even have to have an engineering background. It's called Master of Engineering Management, but anyone can actually choose to take this program. And pretty soon we'll expand that to the MBA. And we're already talking to Ohio State for our Dayton employees on, expanding another partnership. So those academic partnerships in the future are going to be huge for our employees.
I'm actually really glad you brought up the Auburn program. Recently the news actually came by and Radiance University was highlighted for this MEM program, and it got some popularity on Reddit as well. People claiming it's kind of too good to be true. Why would they do this? Is that correct?
It is correct. And I have to, admit, I did not even know what Reddit was until this happened. But now I've gone on and I'm up to speed now. But yes, people were posting like, what? This can't be true. This has got to be too good to be true. But in actuality, it is not. It is not too good to be true. We really are paying 100% of our employees to get a master's degree. And so, yeah, that was just really funny, that so many people, there were like 40 something comments about this specific program on Reddit.
Right. Well, that all sounds really great. I know that several people involved with this MEM program are very excited about the opportunity and are certainly glad that Radiance is footing the bill. Are there any other things that Radiance University is doing to keep not only the new, but current employees excited to learn and stay involved?
So I would just say as a whole that, we're different. This company is different because how many other companies do you know who are actually investing in their people like we are? Nobody. So I think it's a huge benefit and plus, for us to be able to even have a Radiance University where we have courses and tech talks and lunch and learns and podcasts and leadership series and our master's degree program, our mentoring program. It's just all of these different kinds of things that are tools of investment back into the people. And so I would just say for anyone who's considering, a really cool company who's 100% employee owned, which is another huge benefit, you cannot go wrong with Radiance because we walk the talk. It's not just about, saying what we're going to do or saying what we value, but we're showing our people that we care about them and we want to develop them and that we truly believe that they are the next generations of leaders at Radiance.
That's really great to hear, Elaine. Outreach and employee culture are some of the biggest driving factors for any company to look for when they're looking at long-term retention for their employees. And Elaine, this has all been really, really awesome information. Before we let you go, do you have anything you want to say in closing?
Well, I guess I would just say thank you. Thank you to our employees. Thank you to Radiance for really empowering me to set the vision, the implementation, and strategic direction for Radiance U in the future. This has been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you again, Lane. We're really glad you came in today to share the vision of Radiance University. I also want to thank everyone who's been tuning in. We really appreciate you coming out for the talk today. I also want to give a shout out to everyone on the Radiance University committee who volunteer their time every day for the betterment of the company. It's a huge appreciation. We don't overlook you for sure. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Please tune in on June 1st for the next episode of Radiance Chit-Chats, where we will interview a returning Radiance intern and talk a little bit about their daily life and just their experience so far. If you want to check us out online, you can go to www.radiancetech.com/Radiance University. I'm Connor Griffith, and I'll see you next time.